Hello, welcome to Film Talk. This is presented by the Martha's Vineyard Film Society. I'm your host, Bob Dutton, and I will be guiding you through today's class, which should be about an hour long, I figure. Just to let you know, Martha's Vineyard Film Society is a nonprofit organization that runs the Martha's Vineyard Film Center, as well as 6 film festivals throughout the year. And my job is I'm the managing director of this theater, as well as our 2 other theaters, which are seasonal. And today I'm going to continue along with our video um, film analysis classes, which I normally do on the stage of the Film Center here. But today we've decided to branch out online so that other people can enjoy without having to come in if their schedules don't allow. And so with that, today's class is called Status. I would like you to consider for a moment your automobile. If you did not have an automobile, think about the automobile that you would choose to have. Now, I want you to think when you choose that car, what is it that you want other people to think about you? So think about the car. What color would it be? What year? What model? With whom? With which car are you trying to impress people, and which people are you trying to impress? So, what is your selection of your automobile say about what's important to you? So, what about where you live? What about what you wear? What about the person that you love? So, how do you respond to other people making different choices? Do you ever think that your choices are better than theirs? And do you ever worry that their choices are better than yours? When I was 29 years old, I moved to Orlando, Florida, and I became a professional actor working for theme parks and dinner theaters. And I started very early in my time in Orlando. I took classes at the SAC Comedy Lab. SAC is a professional uh, comedy group specializing in improvisational comedy, and they would teach classes during the week. I took a class in improv, and one of the lessons that we learned, and one of the things that we practiced, was where 2 people would come together and they would be given different statuses. You are high status, you are low status. And so there would be a scene based upon those characters' statuses. And we do a warm up game where you say, okay, you've got 2 people who are low status. Who can get the lowest? And so it makes you think about it's like, okay, how do I define what status is, and how do I let people know what my status is? And that's the basis for today's class on status and how it applies to film. So when I teach film analysis, one of the key sentences I give, whether this is actually an English class or a drama class, um, the, the most important sentence I tell my students, the most important sentence that I will ever give you is every story is about somebody who wants something and is having trouble getting it. So the concept of, okay, who wants something? What do they want? Who's getting in the way? And if you can define those 3 things, whether it's in a novel or a play or a movie or a TV show, doesn't matter. It is allowing you to break the story apart. But every story is not only about somebody who wants something and is having trouble getting it. Every story is also about relationships. Now, every relationship is about status. So what does it mean to be high status? Think, well, think of the language that we use about peoples and their relationships. When we use words like somebody is on top of the world, it doesn't mean that they're in the North Pole. If you are looking down on others, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily taller or 3 flights up. And if you consider somebody being an underdog, what are they under? Status is maybe better defined or better understood if we change that word of status and call it power. And so the use of power in terms of moving a story forward is incredibly important, as it is in our lives. So in every relationship is about power, but power is not necessarily a bad thing. It depends on how you use it. So if you have lots of money, let's say, then how you use that money says more about you than how you make that money. And so power is not necessarily a bad thing. If you are very generous with your power, if you are helpful to others with your power, maybe it's political power, and you get things done for other people, that can be very valuable. But power only exists when you give something power. You just can't necessarily have power. Um, you could be the richest person in the world and the smartest person in the world and the most politically connected. You could have President Obama, you could have Queen Elizabeth, you could have the Pope, and you could have a 16-year-old babysitter. The one with the cookie is the one that impresses the 2-year-old. The Queen of England without a cookie, as far as a 2-year-old is concerned, you got no power over me, honey. So, thinking about power only exists when you give someone power, that's an important thought, important concept of that power exists only when it is given power. Only when you put it up on a pedestal can you actually use it. And power is necessary because if every story is about somebody who wants something and is having trouble getting it, it is through our powers that we are able to get things. Even in real life, is we use our powers to obtain our objectives. And so because of that, we need power, and we go about trying to accumulate more power in order to give us the opportunity to achieve more and different goals. Success may be best defined as I say is success is probably best defined as the ability to achieve your objectives. It's not about having a lot of money. That's not necessarily success, because if you started with a lot of money and you have a lot of money, that's not necessarily success. But if you have other goals, your ability to achieve those goals, that is your success. And you use your power to achieve those goals. So success by its definition requires effective powers. And so we're constantly in pursuit of powers to make sure we have the most effective powers when we need them. So for example, chocolate chip cookies. If you want a chocolate chip cookie, how can you get it? You can buy it, you can steal it, you can ask for one, you can barter for it. There's a variety of different ways that you can get a chocolate chip cookie. And because of our past successes, we go with the first power that has given us success in the past. If we've had the most success with simply asking for something, then that's the first thing that we're going to do. If we have the most success by simply stealing something, maybe that's where we go. Or if we have the most success by convincing somebody to give it to us, maybe through manipulation or maybe through manners or some other way, that chocolate chip cookie could be ours. Now, if there's only one chocolate chip cookie and there's 3 people who want it, how are you going to get it? Now, you can fight the others, but maybe the person who has the cookie has different ideas. I'm going to give it to the person who most deserves it. What does that mean? So you will use your powers to try to figure out what is the way that I can maneuver all of my plans to achieve success and get the objective that I want. So, what kind of powers are there? Well, you think money is definitely a power because it allows us to buy things, and that's by buying things we can achieve our objective. It's like, I want to go see a movie, so I pay for my ticket. I want a new car, so I purchase a new car. Whatever it is that you want, say, hey, I'll buy it. But in some places, money does not have power. If you are the richest person in the world stuck on a deserted island with a cannibal who doesn't speak English, doesn't know what money is, your money is useless. And so how do you get what it is that you want. Money is a power. Um, Intelligence is a power. Education is a power. Sex appeal is a power. Uh, your intelligence, your beauty, your money, your connection to other people. There are literally hundreds of different powers that you can have. But remember, power only exists if you give it power. So for some people, power has to maneuver the world of the person on the other side. What is attractive to them? What do they want in exchange? Or what is good enough for them to feel like they have made themselves a good bargain? Because what they want, you want a cookie, but what they want may not be money. Maybe they say, I'll give you a cookie if you're nice to me. Just to let you know, I'm recording on a laptop computer, relatively inexpensive and older one. So the quality of the video here and the work is minimal at best. We're about to show. I'm about to show you our first film today. It is a film that is not a great film. It's nothing you've probably even heard of, let alone seen. Done inexpensively. It may have just been done by some college students. I'm not quite sure. But it is predictable. It is rather two-dimensional, but it allows us an opportunity to see at its very basic level what a relationship looks like when there is someone who thinks they are better than someone else. This film is called Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover.
Peekaboo. Oh my god. Look at this weirdo.
Oh, no wonder she always has a book in her face. Look at her. Ew.
Oh, Nick! Hey! Nick! Hey!
Nick! What?
I think I found you a little girlfriend.
Fuck that.
You know you like it.
Oh, shit, Nick's banging a nerd!
Fuck that. I'd honestly rather kill myself.
Oh, Nick, you said you like nerdy girls, yeah, bro. Man, look, she's so mysterious. Come on, man, look at her.
Did she read? Oh, that's...
What is it?
Blah, blah, blah. It's boring. It's not gonna make you pretty. It's too bad.
Can you give that back, please?
Can you give that back, please? Come get it from me. Oh, you know what? That was really mean. I'm sorry. Here. Aww. Are you gonna cry? Aww. I know it is. She's just a little thirsty. Nerdy bitch.
Nice.
Was that the world's best movie? No. But did it make a point about status? Yeah. We see that people who think they're better than others, which is particularly common in settings of lots of people, is that you walk into a room at a party, people are going to evaluate you as soon as you walk in the door, regardless of where you are, regardless of who you are. When somebody else walks in the room, we start to judge that people. Am I nicer than that person? Am I better looking than that person? Is that person have better taste than I have? Do they seem like they're more in touch? Do they seem happier than I am? All these things we judge ourselves against others. And that's just the status, the state of who we are as human beings. One of the things I would like you to think about is that when it comes to the importance of an objective, the more you want something, the more you will start to consider three things: sacrifices, consequences, and risks. So it's like, what am I willing to give up to achieve this? What am I willing to risk? And what are the consequences if I do not achieve this objective? And also, what are the consequences if I do not, if I do achieve the objective? So do and do not. Because let's say you're running for political office. You really want to win. What are you willing to sacrifice to win that election? What are the risks of you winning that election? And what are the consequences of you winning it and not winning it? And those are things to consider in terms of making a choice. It is also another way in which we judge people of how they deal with the consequences, because sometimes all the best plans fall apart, and how you deal with the cleanup after the mess, that may say a lot in terms of who you really are. So I'd like to give you the idea of the ladder once again. If you have a ladder that goes from bottom to top, and only one person can fit on each rung of that ladder. In order for you to get, if somebody's on the spot that you want to be in is one step above you, you're going to need to do something. So you can either push them up, ask for a hand up, you can ask them to come down, or you can pull them off. How you deal with someone else identifies who you really are as a person at that moment in time. And so any negative action towards somebody else is, to any degree, is hate. Any action to move somebody up the ladder is an act of love. No matter how small it is, just the smallest compliment is an act of love. It's very minor, but good job. That boosts somebody else's confidence, or their knowledge that they know that they are talented or capable in some way. And an insult, being dismissive of somebody else, is pushing them down. So the question is, why are you being dismissive? What do you achieve by doing that? And that is what psychiatrists and psychologists will say is leveling. When we see somebody at a different level than we are, we try to level. We try to move them onto our level. And therefore, it is very easy when somebody walks into the room for us to be very dismissive of them. It's like, oh, I can tell that person is stupid. You will see this when people look and start making judgments about people very blindly. Supermodel, oh, she must be dumb. Oh, interesting. Is that you have not talked to her, you have no idea, but you assume because she or he might be only concerned about their looks, that's the only thing that's important to them, and therefore they're not smart. They are willing to sacrifice some power gains in order to make sure that they maintain the power in other ways. So when somebody walks into a room, we look at what they look like. Are they more attractive than I am? Are they healthier than I am? Are they much more positive? Are they more confident than me? And therefore, because somebody might be more confident, we're going to try to pull them down. That's our natural instinct, is because we fear that somebody else is going to have more power than us, and therefore make sure that we don't get what we want. So with that in mind, I'm going to show you another movie. And if you think about that ladder, 0 at the bottom and 10 at the top, this is the movie for you. That's a film called Zero. Obviously, the numbers were indicative of where they were on the ladder, and how interesting that 2 zeros, when put together, can create infinity. Wow, what a concept! But this is perfect for the for the discussion, as it were, about where we are on that ladder and how we treat other people. And when we see people below us, how we feel, hey, it's okay, everybody else puts this person down, I can do it too. It'll make me feel better about myself. And going back to what I started the conversation with in terms of going to SAC theater and taking classes in which status was a tool of creating characters. Creating a character that is high status or low status. Very often, or very rarely, would someone say, create a character with average status. Average is not interesting. You can't level average because it's already averaged. So high status and low status can deal with each other in effective ways. Sometimes the person in low status is quite subservient. Sometimes they are very angry because they want what the other person has. But in learning to deal with status, you look at stories, and many stories deal with something called status transferal, in which you have somebody at one status who then by the end is at a different status. And then maybe transfers back. So you could have soap operas. Soap operas are usually about rich people. And when one loses status, and whatever that is, that becomes exciting for us. How are they going to get their status back? How are they going to get their money? How are they going to get back into the will? How are they going to find that person? How are they going to get that person to love them once again? So a status transferal is interesting. If somebody is born rich, stays rich, dies rich, not interesting. Somebody who is born poor, stays poor, dies poor, not interesting. Somebody who is born poor, gets rich, and then dies poor, that's interesting. Or somebody who is rich, who loses it all, but then gains it back, that's interesting. Status transferal, of the constant movement of status with characters, is important. So 2 low status characters, one achieving something and the other has not, that creates tension, perhaps. Or perhaps once this person is of high status, they can pull the other person up with them. Oh, that's love, pulling somebody up. Or if 2 people are, start high and one loses it all, and the other one pushes the other one down even further, or the person who is down below starts to pull the other person to their level, that can be interesting. And so status transferal is, in essence, it automatically tells a story. How did you get there? How did you lose everything? How did you gain everything? What powers did you use? What powers did you lose? What powers are you looking for? What powers do you need? That's the joy of status and status transferal. If you think of some of the classic tales, Cinderella, there's a classic tale of, low status going up to high status, going back to low status and high, so that transferal of Cinderella is what keeps us interested in her. Where else we can take? Our next story is relatively simple, but it is another 2-dimensional story that deals. It's rather funny in a positive way when you see how using your power, in some cases wits, can get you where you need to be, or back to where you were, or get other people, to give you power. With that in mind, this movie is called Alternative Math.
Oh, hi, Danny. Come on in. Looks like you're having some trouble with addition. Now, don't be upset. You're here to learn. And we learn from mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes.
Nuh-uh.
Look at this question here. What is 2 plus 2? See, you wrote 22. But when we do addition, we don't just put the numbers next to each other.
That's stupid.
All right, think about it this way. If I have 2 markers in this hand, and then I add the 2 markers from this hand, how many markers do I have now?
22.
No, Danny, it's 4.
Mrs. Wells? We're Danny's parents.
Oh, yes, hello. Oh, please come in. Now, don't worry. It is completely normal for kids to get frustrated when they're struggling with a subject.
So, what's this about Danny getting some answers wrong on this so-called test of yours?
We had a test. One of the questions was, what is 2 plus 2? Danny answered 22.
And?
And that's not the right answer.
Says who?
Says math.
Are you calling my son stupid?
No, of course not.
Who are you to say that your answer is right and that his is wrong?
No. She's right.
Thank you.
Right out of Nazi Germany.
You can't honestly tell me that you don't know what 2 plus 2 equals.
You got it all figured out, don't you? You smart-ass little tramp. What are you, some kind of retard?
All right. I'm sorry. I am not going to be able to continue this conversation.
We're gonna complain to the principal about you.
Danny is a free thinker.
I'll have your job, bitch.
Not if you can't add 2 and 2 together, you won't.
Mrs. Wells,
Oh, sorry, Principal. I didn't see you.
I understand you had an issue yesterday with the parents of one of our students.
It did get a little crazy.
When things get out of hand, I really need you to let me know about it.
Sure. So how do you want to handle it?
I guess you could apologize.
What? His mom hit me.
I understand you told Danny he had a wrong answer on his test.
He did have a wrong answer on his test.
Yeah, it's not our job to tell students when they're right and wrong.
That is exactly what our job is.
Parents don't want you ramming your biased views down their kids' throats.
That's not biased. That's how math works.
You know what doesn't work? Your attitude. Look, maybe I can explain this in math terms so you can understand. If you took all the kids in this classroom and divided them by 0, that's exactly the amount of respect you're giving them. Something you'd like to say?
You can't divide a number by 0 and get 0.
So now I'm stupid. Just some crazy administrator doing paperwork while you superstar teachers change the world.
Students count, teachers divide. Students count, teachers divide. Students count, teachers divide. Stop undermining our kids' confidence! Are you going to apologize to the parents? Why did you even start teaching if you hate children?
Please, have a seat, Mrs. Wells.
Thank you. You know, I honestly think this will all blow over if we just wait a week or so.
I'm afraid we can't do that.
Why not?
They're suing.
For what?
Emotional distress to a minor. Mrs. Wells, can you please tell the members of this board exactly when you became aware of this fiasco and the events leading up to the riot?
Riot? I just told a student that 2 + 2 = 4.
We need for you to recant that.
What?
Just say that you're open to the possibility there might be multiple correct answers.
But that's not true. We can't let them bully us. This is so stupid.
Stupid. That's your problem. Anyone who disagrees with you is stupid.
There is nothing to disagree with. There is only one correct answer.
For your sake, I certainly hope you have that correct answer when the media gets wind of this.
I do. It's 4.
I have my own answer. This school minus you equals tomorrow.
You're firing me?
Suspending. While you reconsider your extremist views.
You brought this on yourself.
Breaking news.
In what's being called Mathgate, an activist elementary school teacher was caught abusing her students' First Amendment rights.
It's an interesting story. Okay, so this teacher, this liberal elitist, tells this innocent little first grade kid that his answer is wrong. Only her answer is acceptable.
Yeah, from what I hear, she doesn't even keep these students for more than a year. After that, they all leave her and go to another teacher.
It's called graduating.
So it's creating some good, healthy debate in this country. Some experts say that 2 + 2 = 4. Others say that it's 22.
No, they don't.
Look, if you hate America that much, why don't you just go teach in commie France?
Hello.
Hello, Mrs. Wells. The board decided that for everyone's benefit, your services will no longer be required.
For everyone's benefit? How about the kids?
I need you to come by the school tomorrow. We don't need you radicalizing our students anymore.
Mrs. Wells, thank you so much for coming. You know, I'm just so sorry it happened this way. If only you'd been willing to be more open-minded.
About math? What about academic integrity?
You were warned, given an explanation, and yet you persisted. But we will, of course, fulfill our financial obligations. Now, that's $2,000 for your last pay period and $2,000 for this one, so that's $4,000.
Wrong. It's 22,000.
Ha! The value of learning math. Education. That's very important. There are, of all the powers we talked about, and here I'm going to put up a couple of slides in terms of powers. I have, over the years, I've actually developed a list that is between 300 and 400 different areas where one might have power. Just to give you an idea of some of the powers that people can have and how important they are. You think of wealth, health, beauty, physical strength can get you what you want. Knowledge can get you what you want. And knowledge is not the same thing as education, because you can be a 7-year-old kid and you're the only one in the house who knows the password to the internet. That's not necessarily education. That's simply knowledge, and that'll get you what you want. But beauty, I mean, the beauty industry is $1 billion industry, because people feel that if I look better, if I look more attractive, I can get what I want. Wisdom. Your grandmother may have never even passed grade school, but she might be the wisest person that you've ever met, and that can be very important. So here are a couple of slides in terms of other powers that we have. Everything from, you see on this first page, from age to sense of humor, to energy, to talent, to honesty, to confidence. And the one after that is even more, everything from your emotional balance to punctuality to authority. And authority means say, hey, I have power because I'm the mayor. And simply because I'm the mayor, I get to have what I demand because that's part of my job. Your ability to compose yourself, your logic, your ability to articulate what it is that you want. In various places, various powers have importance. If you are a juror on a trial, your honesty, your perceptiveness, your ability to deduce what is true and what is not true, those are very important qualities. If you are the person who can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, is like your ability to remain even level-headed in a dire situation. That may be your great power. And sometimes the powers you don't know you have until you are actually tested with them. Our final movie today is a classic. It is a Warner Brothers cartoon that is, figuring out what I can do with the power I have. And one of the powers that this deals with is the power of possession. By simply having something, you figure like by having this unique item, oh, the world will be the path to my door. Yeah, good luck with that. Everybody do the Michigan rag. Great, great classic animation of thinking, hey, I'm smarter than everybody else. Oh, I am so smart. Yeah, good luck with that theory. If you want to know, every story is about relationships. Every relationship is about power. And so every movie you watch, every TV show, every, sometimes a comic strip, deal with the subject of relationships and the status within that relationship of who has it. To further move you along the path with some movies that are very, very specifically about status and that status transferal, I recommend these 5 films. First of all, from 1983, Trading Places, starring Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. This is a movie with multiple powers that are at the forefront. One of them is money, but money is not everything. Second is from 2004, Tina Fey's movie Mean Girls. Oh, status, social status in schools is absolutely important. And so to have that status, and there's a great, now, I'm sure most of you have seen this movie, but if not, this is one you've got to watch in terms of where your status is amongst other people, and particularly with the status of your group. Having a group status is important as well. And comparing those groups to one another, Mean Girls is where you want to be. Now to go back into time, 1955 is a fabulous film called The Night of the Hunter, starring Robert Mitchum and Shelley Winters. This is a story in which the powers are cunning, honesty, and morality. And it is, in a sense, a big tough guy, I say, going up against 2 innocent, darling children. Next movie, 1995, an absolute must-see film called Babe, which is about getting what you want, and the power that is absolutely essential to this is the power of having manners, of being able to ask politely, to say things in a kind way and to treat people with kindness. This is an absolute film. If you have kids, make them watch this movie. If you give power to manners, they will exist and other people will value that. So as parents, we try to teach our kids, oh, be nice, say please, step aside, all the things that you want to do to manners. You want to instill manners because you give it power. You want your children to have power. Babe is the movie for you. And if you don't understand what manners are, Babe is the movie for you. And finally on my list is a film from 1998. This film is sexy. It is naughty. It is about deception. It is sort of a modern film noir. It is a film called Wild Things, which stars some up-and-coming stars, but also it's got Bill Murray, Kevin Bacon, Matt Dillon, Denise Richards, and Nev Campbell. Oh, this is one not necessarily for the kids as well. There is, but for adults, great movie in terms of being able to be one step ahead of everybody else. Great film. And then just in general, there are characters that naturally lend themselves to dealing with a system, or I say stories and relationships that deal with powers and their lack of powers. Any episode of Columbo, you have guilty people who think that they are smarter than Columbo, and when they realize they're not, then they need to be much more deceptive. Any episode of The Honeymooners, in which Ralph Cramden, played by Jackie Gleason, who thinks he's got, it's like, oh, I got the $1 million idea here. It's like, oh, I'm going to make $1 million. Oh, no, boy, they're going to love me because I'm going to make $1 million from this idea. And it always falls apart. Great. If you're looking for a particular episode, the $99,000 answer, that's the one to watch first. And every movie is about relationships. Every movie is about somebody who wants something and is having trouble getting it. So current movies that status is important. How about Parasite? Academy Award winner for Best Foreign Language Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Picture, 2020. Take a look at that one. It's a terrific film, and it says a lot about status as well. And status is not just having money, though that's a big part of it in this movie. It's not the only thing. So those are my recommendations. We'll have another film talk coming up in the near future. I think the next one that I'll do is not one I've done in the past. It's one that I will call Backstory, and the importance of the history of a character in, as it comes into the present. So Backstory. In the meantime, have a great time at the movies. Do enjoy. Let me know what you think. Share this with your friends if you so choose. And if you have any questions, do contact us at mvfilmsociety.com. Enjoy.